radicalized.
Miles, you've taken a different approach to this effort to sort of create a new space for conversation with the Renew America movement. How do you, when you look at January 6th, you listen to what Joe just said about the radicalization inside the Republican Party? A, is there any hope for that institution as we currently know it? And B, if not, where do Republicans and like-minded souls who are pro-democracy still, maybe they're conservative in some of their policy-making views, et cetera, but where do they go?
Well, to your first question, Michael, is there hope? I saw Joe on the screen there shaking his head fervently no. And I'm going to have to say that I've come around to Joe's position. I spent several years in the hope that we were going to try to reform the Republican Party within. I was not ready to say, let's cede one of only two major parties in the United States to extremists, and was laser focused and, in trying to get the good guys protected in the Republican Party, the ones who want to reform it, like the Liz Cheneys and the Adam Kinzingers, and go after the extremists like Madison Cawthorn. Despite the fact that Madison Cawthorn has lost his race and people like Liz Cheney are still in the fight, I do not believe the good guys are winning. In the civil war for the soul of the Republican Party, the good guys are losing. And because of the reason you just said, Michael, that radicalized base of the Republican Party, Joe mentioned it too, that is why I believe in the long term, hopes to reform it internally are going to be a failure. Now, I left the Republican Party this week because I ultimately concluded after Buffalo that these efforts to try to reform the GOP are failing. And the Republican Party has tried to, disabuse people of the notion that it's tied to racism. But let me be very clear. There's not just a dotted line to the leadership of the GOP when it comes to violent white supremacy. There is a direct line. When I was in the Trump administration, Donald Trump and his core team refused to issue a domestic terrorism strategy when we talked about violent white supremacy, when the FBI and DHS warned that this was becoming a threat, because they didn't think those folks were violent extremists. They thought they were very enthusiastic voters. And then when Trump would talk about the countries he wanted to increase immigration from, he would talk about Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden. When he talked about the countries he wanted to decrease immigration from, he would talk about Somalia, Haiti, Kenya. It was very clear that the head of the Republican Party, Donald Trump, wanted more white people from rich countries into the United States and fewer black and brown people. That is still the person who's notionally the head of the Republican Party, directly explicated a racist viewpoint. But it didn't just stop there. It's not that they didn't want to do anything about the threat and quietly voice support for racist theories. They very publicly have promoted the notions, as you pointed to, Michael, of great replacement theory. That's what worries me. And when Madison Cawthorn said, "Get ready for dark MAGA," it made me think back to a Hitler quote when he said, "When you're in the light, everything follows you. But when you enter into the dark, not even your shadow follows you." It sounds much like what this pastor said. These people are getting ready to shed their consciences to do very bad things to promote this worldview.
But Joe, that's really at the nub of this. I get the question a lot of times. Well, why are you still a Republican? I'm like a Motel 6 Republican. Someone's got to keep the lights on, right? So I'm the guy on the front porch. I know, right? I know.
We're waiting for you, though, Michael.
Well, look, I tell you, I know it ticks them off that I'm still here. So, but that's fine. They keep breaking the light bulb, but we're still trying to hold up because the fundamental underpinnings and value of family and country and government service and all those things still matter to a lot of Republicans out there, Joe. To Miles's point that, the light seems to be going out here for a lot of those folks inside the party. You've got folks like Tara who are fighting through other organs like Lincoln Project. Where do you see the Republicans who are themselves trying to find this new space? Do they stay? Do they go? What happens when we're looking at elections coming up this fall? How do you assess the political fallout from all of this?
Hey, Michael, I'm in an unusual position because I come from the mega cult. I still talk to these people every day, and I've been doing that for years. And if you heard what I heard every single day, you'd understand why I said a few years ago, this party is not savable. It's not reformable. It's Trump's party. And, it's the party of Trumpism. And there's this breathless dance every primary night, and it will happen again Tuesday night, where, oh, did Trump do good? Did Trump do bad? What do Donald Trump's endorsements mean? That's all a bunch of bull crap. Here's what we know. Every single Republican who wins a primary this year is a bow down in front of Donald Trump Republican, whether that candidate is endorsed or not. Trump's an idiot. His endorsements make no sense. Don't pay attention to the endorsements. Every Republican, if you want to win, you have to worship Donald Trump. And that's not changing anytime soon.
So, Tara, on that point, the worship mentality that's infected the party, when you're looking at the leadership of the party, and this is where it really rubs raw for me, where we know in the Madison Cawthorn situation, if they want you gone, you'll get gone, right? But yet and still they continue to embrace the thing that's tearing down the party, pushing good Republican conservatives out of the party, let alone, moderate to liberal Republicans out of the party. How do you see this party, if they win this fall, going into next year and setting up 2024? What should Americans be mindful of if they give power back to the party of insurrection?
Yeah, that's the kicker here. This is not your grandfather or your father's Republican Party anymore. This is not the party that I joined as a 17-year-old high school kid in 1992, excited to work on George H.W. Bush's reelection campaign. OK, this is a far cry from that. And people who are convincing themselves or trying to rationalize that the extremists are the fringe because they look at a Glenn Youngkin or Ron DeSantis and try to say, oh, no, they're not like Donald Trump. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. You cannot put on a parka vest and say that you're not MAGA. You are. And to Joe's point, that every single Republican who wins a primary, they should be questioned and put on the spot. Is this what you believe? Because the America First agenda, this MAGA Donald Trump ilk, that is Trumpism. That is the Republican Party. It's not about tax reform. It's not about smaller government and lower taxes and strong national defense. It is not. This has become a neo-fascist populist party that is dangerous to our way of life. Our way of life in America. And I don't know that Democrats have been doing a good enough job of making that contrast and drawing that line, but they need to do that. Do you want an America run by people like Doug Mastriano, who thinks that we should criminalize women who have abortions? Do you want a party that supports preachers like you just showed, that thinks that you're a demon if you support Democratic policies? Do you want a party that thinks that, the Steve Bannons of the world are, political geniuses, someone who adheres to Leninism and is proud of it? Is that what they want? Because that's where we're going. Do they want an America that looks like 1950 again? I firmly believe that there are more good Americans who are forward-thinking, who are pro-democracy, who are tolerant of, pluralistic communities, that are pro-democracy, pro-freedom, pro what we the people actually means. There are more of us than them, but they have to be mobilized, energized, and get out there and vote, because they're under no circumstances can today's Republican Party ever have power again, or else you're going to wake up to a country that you do not recognize.
Hey, Michael Steele.
Yo, boss, real quick.
All four of us are conservatives. None of us went to Hungary this week to worship authoritarianism. That's where today's Republican conservatives are.
Yep.
Well, you just put the pin on that button. Let me tell you, my friend, Tara Setmayer, Joe Walsh, and Miles Taylor, thank you all for coming in. I really do appreciate it, and I may be coming off the porch sooner than you may realize.
Come on over, Michael.
Come on down. So we have some breaking news. Finally, some relief for desperate parents amid the baby formula shortage. A U.S. military aircraft from Germany has just landed in Indiana carrying 132 pallets of Nestle's infant formula. The White House says this is the first delivery of formula from Europe with another batch scheduled to arrive in the coming days. It's all part of the White House's Operation Fly formula to transport about 1.5 million bottles of formula from Zurich, Switzerland to Indiana. The formula is set to be distributed to other parts of the country experiencing acute